So this is a JavaScript, TypeScript, you know Node.js, and the other JS training program. So let's begin with what JavaScript is all about. you know it is, of course, a core language for the web pages, to work on web pages. If you ever need to manipulate web pages, or if you want to make web pages alive, or you want to make web pages interactive, JavaScript is the language for the same. Actually, there are three languages for web pages. HTML, which helps you construct the web page. If you would like to give the content of a web page, or if you like to give a structure of a web page, you do it with the help of HTML tags. You have multiple HTML tags. For example, heading in the HTML page, for example, any text or a paragraph in the HTML page. For example, if you would like to create blocks or division as part of HTML page, you do it with the help of HTML language. And there is another language like CSS, which is also a language for web pages, cascading style sheet. HTML stands for hypertext markup language. CSS is the cascading style sheet, right, with the help of which we define the presentation part of a web page. For example, what kind of fonts, what size of font, what background color, right, what padding, what margin, all those characteristic which defines how each and every content or text will look on a web page. What will be a width of a paragraph or a division. So the entire presentation part, the look and feel part of a web page is governed by CSS. The entire content and a structure part is governed by the HTML.
Okay, structure is HTML and presentation is CSS. Yes. Okay.
And there are.
You guys, do you provide like these notes, or I have to write down the notes? Like in notes, can you share in email these notes? So I need to, or like.
So these.
It's easy for me.
These are not, I'm not writing this on a text pad. This is just for the presentation part only.
Oh, okay.
Right. Then comes the JavaScript part. If you want to manage everything on your web page, like you want to hide a particular content, or you want to show a particular content, if let's say you want to expand the menu, or you would like to submit the entire form, or in nutshell, if you want to perform any action on a web page, that action is basically being done with the help of JavaScript to begin with. Any action on a web page is done through JavaScript, or that is why I said in the beginning that JavaScript makes your web pages alive. It helps you make your web pages interactive, right? So one should know the three core languages for web pages, and how those three languages actually are used, where or for what purpose are they used. Once we understand the purpose of these three languages, what are they intended to do, then the important question comes, how JS works actually. See, every language has got an interpreter, has got a compiler. JavaScript is not a different language. It also has an interpreter. For JavaScript, browser is the playground. Chrome or Edge or Firefox, all browsers is where JavaScript actually works. Now JavaScript also works on the server side also. But for JavaScript to execute, there is also a JVM, which is called as a JavaScript Virtual Machine Engine. Right.
JavaScript virtual machine. Okay.
Right. So there is a name like V8 for Chrome browser, for Opera browser. V8 is a JVM. For Firefox, name of a JVM is SpiderMonkey. These are few names of a JVM, JavaScript Virtual Machine Engine, which is embedded as part of these browsers: Chrome, Opera, V8, Firefox, Mozilla Firefox, SpiderMonkey. And then we have for Edge also, for Safari also. For Edge you have this, if you there is this browser, there is this JVM with the name Chakra Core for Edge. There is this virtual machine engine as Nitro or Squirrelfish for Safari, right? So every browser has got this JavaScript virtual machine engine, and these are their names, actually just the names, which will help us execute the JavaScript code on that very browser. Right, the JavaScript code actually runs because of these JVMs. Right. After that, you may read a particular statement that the engine has read the script, it has converted the script into machine language, and then the machine code runs. But it is in the job of JVM, which is a part of these browsers, which parse or which reads your JavaScript and which converts your JavaScript into bytecode or a machine language code, because ultimately operating system understands the machine language code. Right.
Yeah.
So after knowing what JavaScript actually does, as we discussed, that JavaScript make the web pages alive, or it helps you perform any action on the part of a web page. This is how basically with the help of these very JavaScript virtual machine engines, the JavaScript code will actually run, the Node.js or the TypeScript code that will actually run. Right.
So what is TypeScript?
TypeScript is an advanced version of JavaScript, ES6 version, which came in June 2015. It has brought a new language altogether called TypeScript with multiple features. For example, class creation, constructor inheritance, polymorphism. All those programming language concepts have arrived. Getter, setter functions, right? Arrow functions, default function parameters, multiple features have come to JavaScript because of TypeScript. ES6 features, ECMAScript 6 features.
Oh, it's called ECMAScript. Okay.
Right. So this is about and
because sorry to interrupt you. Is this like this is more we are using right now in our project, TypeScript I heard, and JScript is more. So is there any differentiating coding structure, or is a complete different language that I want to know?
It's the same, it's just the advanced version. Now as part of JavaScript also, because of TypeScript, each and every feature of TypeScript can work as part of JavaScript code also. It is not a different language, they work in sync, right? Same compiler is there for both, right?
Oh, okay.
Alright. After that, let's talk about the history of this very language. So see, this language also came in the same year when Java came, actually, in 1995. And the original name of this language was LiveScript. But because Java, became popular the day it was introduced, so just to enjoy the bandwagon, they named it as JavaScript. Later, this name was criticized because Java and JavaScript, they are entirely two different languages. They have nothing in common. Right. So
Mm.
so and this language was specially created for Netscape Navigator, another browser, and that time Internet Explorer was there, right?
Sorry. Yeah.
So Internet Explorer created a new language called JScript, right? uh, so parallelly, when the Netscape Navigator was introducing the different versions for LiveScript or JavaScript, Internet Explorer was creating new versions for JScript. For example, in year 1999, till then JavaScript version 1.3 came in, and parallelly Internet Explorer by Microsoft, a new version called 5 came in, right?
Okay.
But then, as I said, there was a standardized body called ECMAScript created to introduce a latest additions to this JavaScript language. A standardized body with the name ECMAScript ES. Uh, you know, they gave ES5 in year 2015, and major release was ES6, which came in year 2015 June, right? So now all updates of JavaScript are actually being given to us by this standardized body, you know uh, called ECMAScript. It actually started giving the updates in the early 2000, but now they are about to give to ES7 also, but we don't know when it will come, right?
Okay.
So we just learned what JavaScript does, kind of how it works, and when it got introduced, so as to say. Now before we now so now let's talk about some of the features of TypeScript, or or the JavaScript to begin with. For example, just to get the feel of this language, the concept of constants have come to JavaScript. What other languages has got here? If you want to create, so we have multiple editors to play around with JavaScript language. Fiddle editor is there, play code editor is there. The concept of constants have come to JavaScript. For example, I have a constant called, variable name called, let's say, value 1, right? And I give a value 4.0 to this very constant. Now if I try to change this variable with any different value, see, I got a compilation error that there is a red sign attempting to override value 1, which is constant. So the concept of constant was not there before ES6. Before ES6, where was the old school keyword to declare variables, right?
Okay.
We will talk about let keyword also. In total, there are 3 keywords in JavaScript to declare variables, right? Const keyword has come as part of ES6. So if you want to give your
Your
birth,
voice is cutting, Yogesh.
my voice is breaking.
Yeah.
Just 1 second.
Low and up happens. So, sorry.
All right. Just 1 second. Actually, there's some network problem going on over here. Uh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So let's continue, and if it again breaks down or if it again does not work, then I will restart my network system.
Okay. Okay. Sounds great. Go ahead.
Right. So I was saying this constant concept of constant has come to JavaScript, which wasn't there before EX6 or before TypeScript came in. Right. So I was saying that if I would like to give the birth date of a user or the hexadecimal value of any color, or let's say the PAN card number, or any social security number, which is not going to be different for different, which is not going to change. So those keywords are declared as constants basically. We will talk about that in detail. But then comes the a block scope variable. There is a let keyword which again got introduced with it was a later edition was in ES6 also, to create a block scope variable. Right. So here this is a block, this curly braces. Let's first understand the language in complete, and then we will jump on to different concepts. So if I create a variable with the help of let keyword, let's say this variable, if I try to access this outside the block, it will not help me print that. Right. If I run this, it simply tells me that X is not defined. Right. Inside the block I can anytime access this variable. So like const keyword, with the help of which you can define constants, with the help of let keyword you can declare variables with the data within the block. And
why we need it all the times in case in block in real time application?
In real time application, see, you at times you will need a variable whose life will be restricted to, let's say, if block. We will talk about if conditions. You will be you will want the scope of a variable to be restricted to while block, for loop, or any function, so as to say. Right. So like in any other language, now you may not want a variable to be of a global scope. You just want that, let me use the variable, the moment block is over I am done with the variable and I can proceed ahead without the variable itself. For a global scope variable you have this var keyword. Right. For the global scope variable you have the var keyword, which we will talk about, because var is a old school. It is there since the inception of JavaScript. Const has and let has come later on, and const and let is being now used a lot in in replacement to var keyword. Right.
Yeah, but the question here, sorry, if it is a global, then sometimes you require global variable too, correct?
Right.
So why if we say replacement of let and constant, so are we not using var at all in the application?
No. It depends on your requirements. If your requirement is to create a global level variable, use var. But var will be either a global level variable or a function scope variable. var also has limitations. Const also has limitations. Let also has limitations. But now in JavaScript they say that we need a variable whose life is just dependent on this very block. The moment block is over, we don't want that variable anymore. Or once the moment function loop that things are over, we don't need that variable anymore. So it depends on your requirement what you want. So once we are aware about the the rules behind this keyword, you yourself will be able to analyze that whenever I need a function scope or a global scope, where can be looked up, and there are other things also related to these keywords, right? But I'm just telling you, as part of TypeScript, this new keyword has come whose whose life depends on the block in which it is being declared.
Okay.
Right? And if I introduce an inner block over here, and if I say inner block has got a value with the name hello, let's say, so inner block will show me the value hello, and the outer block will show me the value hi, right? So here let me just remove all that right now. So I have this, you see, this is the outer block, this is the inner block, again this is the outer block, and here if I try to access this, it will not be accessed at all. If I say outside block, if I print the value of x, it will not be it will not be accessed at all.
Yeah, because it's outside the block, correct? So
right. So outer block is giving me value high, even though inner block changed the value, but still it does not matter to the let keyword. And if I go outside the that if function or any block, that particular variable can't be accessed, reference error is coming, right?
no.
So the rule is basically so what we have gathered as of now is, with the help of const keyword, it is like a final keyword in JavaScript, with the help of which you can just declare a constant and use it throughout your application. With the help of let keyword, you
Final
can,
in Java, correct?
right,
Or Java.
final,
JavaScript also have this one.
no, final in Java, sorry, const is
Okay.
equivalent to that only. Then I was saying this let keyword, actually we just had a discussion about let keyword. Now there is this concept called arrow functions, which has come as part of JavaScript or TypeScript, again ES6 arrow function. So if I declare an entire function in a same line, for example, this is a just see this line first. So this equal to greater than sign is an arrow function. Here I am saying I will be giving you a value, you please add 1 to it and return me the value back. So via console.log, if I say I have given you a value 5, it will add 1 to it and it will give me 6 back. So arrow function, you could have done the same.
Is kind of lambda in Python, correct?
Yeah, this is kind of lambda in Java, which has come to arrow function in JavaScript, right? So I can give, so now in square bracket you can have the array. Now you have a for each also. So you said I will be taking care each and every element, right?
Cannot hear you, Yogesh.
You can't able to hear me?
Yeah, when if you are speaking before.
No, I was not.
Okay.
So I was saying that this is an array which is recognized by square bracket. So these are few elements inside the array. So here I am saying I will take care each and every element from the array, and I will just multiply the same number with itself. For example, first I will write what you have given to me, then I will just hard code this arrow function, and this is how I will print all the elements. Now this is the problem with Fiddle editor. Greater than sign is being recognized using this,
Can
right?
we do somehow in Visual Studio Code or no?
Yeah, we can do that also.
Okay.
So there is this already
At least
one.
you can share this script file to me later, and
No,
I have nothing to write down anything.
no. I am copy pasting everything whatever I am writing. So at the end of the class I will share this text file with you.
Okay, that's good. Okay, then it's fine.
Right. So
Yeah.
you have this Fiddle editor, you have this play code editor also. So here it is important to understand this arrow function. How we are defining this entire function in a same line. Later on I will tell you about the function definition also, that there is a function which accepts a parameter, and as part of this function we just want to add 1 to it, like this. So if I call this ABC function with value, let's say 10, then it will print me 11. So this function, actually we did it this with this particular set of code. They both
Oh,
are
okay.
same, and this is a array for each, going through each and every element, right? This is also another editor like Fiddle editor. The output, right? So now you have a sort function also. I'm just giving you few examples of TypeScript, that in array if you have 10, 30, 25, 1, and if you would like to sort these elements on the basis of ascending order, so now you are giving multiple parameters. And it will help you sort the data in ascending order.
So what you did A, and what is the symbol like?
So if you are
Oh, I didn't get that one.
if you are aware about the comparable comparator interface in Java, so what I have said over here, that I am giving you two parameters, right? This, and you can have three outputs. For example, a minus b, if the output is positive, that means left hand side value is greater than the right hand side. A minus b is 0, that means they both are equal. A minus b negative, that means right hand side value is greater than the left hand side value. So this is how this programming language understands. What I said, I will be giving you two parameters, arrow function, and I said a minus b. I actually gave the rule to sort the data.
Okay.
Right? I actually gave that rule only to sort this data. Right? So this is an array in square bracket sort function, and this is the rule, and this is the output which we ultimately got. Right?
Okay.
So just to understand, just to get a feel of this language, we discussed const keyword, we discussed let keyword, and we discussed this arrow function. Just 2 or 3 examples as of now. We'll be talking about them in detail in the coming classes also.
Okay.
Right. See, after that, another concept has come which is called as default function parameters. For example, let's say again I give you example that here 2 parameters will come, but by default I am giving the value to a second parameter as 20. Right? Now you need to call this function which resides in variable x. I am just giving you one value. Second value it will take automatically 20, and it will give me an output 10 into 20, which is 200.
Okay, so b value you defined as a
Default value.
constant value, correct? All the times is 20, correct?
Right.
Okay.
So this is called as a default function parameter. But there is a catch. If I give a value, then it will not take a default value. It will only take
okay.
And there is one more catch, which is, what if you want to give a default value to the first parameter? For example, you gave a default value as 10 to the first parameter. Now also it will give me the output 30. But point is, you did not give a second parameter a default value. Now how will it know that you are giving a default value to a first, or to a second parameter, let's say? It will give you NaN, not a number. It is a computational error. So to resolve this, I need to use another keyword called undefined. Now the output is 30. Because I said first one is not defined, this is the value. Second one I am giving it to you.
Oh, okay. So if you pass the second parameter, let's suppose b, then it understand b is the value. But if it is considered, if you not define the first one, it gives you error. But you need to define as a undefined if you want to say a is equal to 10, correct?
Right.
Oh, okay.
So this is called as a default function parameter, again a TypeScript feature, again a ES6 feature.
Okay.
Right. Then comes REST function parameters. So first was const, then came let, then came arrow function, then came default function parameter, and now is the REST function parameter. For example, I am declaring a function with, let's say, I'm putting this entire function in a variable. Let me just take this and put it here. See, now I am saying where x is equal to function a comma b, this arguments. So as part of this function I am printing the value of a is right. After that I am saying that you can give me more parameters also. So if I call this function with 3 arguments 10, 20 and 5, it will print me oh sorry, I printed console log itself. So it says me A is 10, B is 20, and after that
one args left.
one argument left.
Oh, okay.
So point was you can give any number of arguments.
Sorry, I can hardly understand this one. What you mean? One arg left is you put already. That's why it shows message, correct?
No. So here I passed 3 arguments.
Okay.
And here I am printing first is this, second is this. After that, if I pass one argument, let's say fourth argument or fifth argument, it will tell me A is 10, B is 20, but 3 arguments are more left.
3 arguments are left means you
Here,
still need to print.
yeah, you have got 3 more arguments with you.
Oh, okay.
So REST function parameter means this is like overloading in JavaScript. Now it is not required that, right?
Method overloading.
Right.
Okay.
So you can, this is 3 dots args. This is called as a REST function parameter.
Okay.
So after default function parameters, how you can give a default value, same, we have this REST function parameter also, which does not force us to redefine functions. Then you have got this string templating also.
So these are all new concept, correct? With the TypeScript, correct?
Right. These are all latest concepts. Now, string templating means, let's say there is a new variable with the name ABC, right? And here if I give a hi message, this $, and I will put this in a backtick, $, figure bracket, name, backtick closed. Now if I print this variable, it will show me welcome ABC. String templating, how you print a string as part of an expression, or how you interpolate string as part of an expression using backtick, $, figure bracket or curly braces. Basically like system out println, how you integrate a variable as part of a string and directly printing it as part of that particular message itself. Another ES6.
But you say curly bracket, correct? So if you say square bracket also allowed, so what is print?
No, that ways it won't work. It will give me a compilation error. So it has to have, yes, you see, it printed that only, because for that string templating did not work, right?
Oh, so So it's a syntax one,
It
correct?
is a syntax. So now I can extend this rule in another features also. For example, here I say I will be giving you a variable, and you need to multiply 4 to it, right? Let's say, so I put this entire function, arrow function, inside this variable called output, and I introduce a new variable called input with the value, let's say 5, right? And thereafter I said there is a new variable which has this entire function value is, so the entire arrow function resides in output variable. So I use dollar sign, figure bracket or curly braces, this output, and it accepts a input variable, right? So the output will be 20. If I print this x2, first I had the output which had this entire function, then I had the input which I want to give to this output variable, but ultimately I use string templating to make it work like a proper function, and the output 5 into 4 came out to be 20. So another ES6 concept called string templating. So we have talked about const keyword, let keyword, thereafter we talked about default function, rest function parameter, and moreover we talked about arrow function first, and then default function parameters, then rest function parameters, and then we had a discussion on string templating, how to interpolate string as part of an expression, or how to print simply a string as part of an expression. Now thereafter we'll talk about object properties, but moreover I want to talk about class, constructor, right, getter setter function, extends keyword, inheritance, right, object creation, and object properties also. And then we will move to var keyword. So today you can practice this one, I can give you, and you can check the recording also. And in the next class I will talk about this class, constructor, extends, inheritance, polymorphism, and then slowly steadily we'll move toward data types and everything about objects, everything about array, map, set, functions, right?